Hello everyone, this is the Pilgrim Magazine vlog episode number 1. I am not your average journalist. I travel and I settle in each place. And in this vlog, I'll invite you into my life. I'll let you get to know me and the place I'm making stories about. I've always dreamt about having everything I own in one backpack and living on the road. I'm also as curious today as I was when I, as a child, for the first time discovered that I could actually ask questions. Where and what am I up to next? So, I guess you're wondering who I am, what the Pilgrim Magazine is, and why I've started it. And that's what I'll tell you in this vlog. For me, traveling is holy. Therefore the name, the Pilgrim. Traveling leaves me speechless, which turns me into a storyteller. I am a journalist, and traveling is the fuel to my being. Classic journalism, though, is too superficial, and so is classic traveling. For traveling to be able to actually fuel my soul and teach me something new, I need more than visits. And for journalism to reflect reality, the reporter needs more insight to a story than one workday. Therefore, I founded the Pilgrim Magazine. I'm going to settle down in different places around the world, at least 3 months per place, to bring to you profound stories and inspiration. The Pilgrim Magazine is also the platform that exchanges princesses, the objectified and the secondary, to pioneers, game changers, and heroes. I've studied journalism for 1.5 years now, and I love it. But I also think that journalism is in a serious need of a revolution. And this is why. Journalists are terrible. I tell you, terrible at following up. We treat events as if they happen out of a vacuum, and it is a problem. We've seen endless stories about the destinies of civilians in wars, survivors of the Holocaust, survivors of a natural disaster, and so on. We've seen how reporters flock to embassies around the world to get visas to be able to cover the stories from the worst hit areas. The problem is that these stories are so much more complex than how they are portrayed. A visa and a trip to the worst hit area just won't cut it. The story doesn't end after the reporter goes back home. So why does journalism deprive you of what follows? Why don't we stay on the story? We know that floods that will hit elsewhere will have long-lasting consequences. And to understand the next big political or environmental event that will happen, we will need to understand the real consequences of, let's say, an environmental disaster. So why do we do it? It's not because we don't care. I don't even think it's because of lack of money that prevents us from following up on stories. I think that the main reason why we can't follow up on stories is because journalism, as we know it, is simply not designed to stay on a story. Think about it. Think about the formats that we know. Think about television. You watch a television piece and then it disappears. Think about newspapers. You got a newspaper, you read it, and it goes into a pile. Or you don't read it, it still goes into a pile. Journalism platforms that we've used for centuries are disposable. They're not designed to tell you week after week the story of, let's say, a young boy who lost his whole family in a cyclone. Because in order for media to tell you the news about the boy, it needs to know that you've read the previous story, that you have access to all the stories that are already written about him. Media dumbs things down, not because they think that we're stupid, but because they have a 700-word limit or a 3-minute television piece. They need to fit it all in. And now, in the digital era, we're just copying an old format and pasting it into a virtual context. A story goes online and then it disappears into a virtual pile of newspapers. I think that we need to reimagine journalistic storytelling. Even though we've always had a quite turbulent relationship with the internet and at first thought that it will kill journalism, we need to be reconciled with the internet and see the possibilities with globalization. Journalism needs to get modern. It's time. And I also think it's necessary to get personal and share more. And that's why I'm doing this vlog. This is to let the reader know how qualified you are to tell someone's story or how just you're portraying it. It lets the reader know whether the reporter has a primary placement over interpretation. Is the reporter going out on a tourist safari ride to make a piece on lion cubs, or is she a National Geographic lion expert? In my experience, classic newsrooms lack people like me. Traditional media outlets tend to have a dozen or so editors who call the shots. They decide what's newsworthy. Although these editors are highly educated and experienced, they're also mostly white and mostly men. So the news is filtered through this lens. But in a digital landscape, this is no longer the case. And I feel like we need to embrace a new front page. And I'm not going to say that that's what I'm going to create at once on the Pilgrim Magazine, but it is from these thoughts that the urge to found this platform has flourished. And it's what I'll be attempting. The content on the Pilgrim Magazine will mostly be cultural, and it will feature a lot of kick-ass women, and I'll focus on follow-up journalism. Another aspect is that I find it really important to know a place well, like it's your home, to be able to portray it in the best way possible. And that's where my traveling takes part. So I'll not be visiting places, I'll be moving and settling in different countries to be able to tell the profoundest stories that I can. Also, I'll share a lot of behind the scenes with you through this vlog. And here you'll be seeing a lot of me and what goes on in my life to get a picture of how well it's going with actually becoming a local. So, the next destination is Lisbon, to which I'll be moving in a week from now, the 1st of September 2018, and I'll live there for 5 months. And I'm currently based in Stockholm, and I'll be traveling back here in between all my travels until further notice. Thankfully, Stockholm is a cultural bombshell, so the content that you'll be seeing from here will be very good as well, of course. That was everything I have to say for this time, and I really hope to see you in the next episode. Please, if you like what you see, subscribe, leave a comment, and give me feedback. I really want to know what you think and what you want to see and so on. Alright, until next time.